Hi y'all, it's Tracy from Temperance Tarot. I never did a June deck roundup and it's close to the end of July. So I'm going to go ahead and do my roundup for June and July. And yes, I'm going to do it facing forward because I was set up to do another video and I just didn't want to go through the hassle of changing it. So we're going to do it this way. Since this is June and July, I have quite a few decks to talk about in this video. So let's get started. The first deck I'm going to talk about is Pam's Vintage Tarot. I got the tarot size. I really like this deck. You can buy this deck from two different places. You can buy it from Game Crafter and you can buy it from Drive-Thru Playing Cards or Drive-Thru. I'm going to look and see. From Drive-Thru RPG. Drive-Thru RPG. I don't like Game Crafter's cardstock, and I had bought a deck from Drive-Thru RPG before, so I went with the Drive-Thru RPG, and I am extremely pleased with the cardstock I got for this one. Comes with two heart cards, two extra cards, and it's the Pamela Coleman Smith, but you know, dirtied up a bit. All the titles are gone, no numbers, but I really like it. And when you pull out the cards and put them in a reading, there's something sort of magical about it. It may become my favorite Rider-Waite deck, but we'll have to see. So I liked this one a whole lot. And it shuffles beautifully. It really does shuffle really well. Yeah, that's the problem with doing the facing me. I can't shuffle. Oh, look, I've got a bruise. Got another bruise here. I bruise like a peach. So yes, love Pam's Vintage. Pam's Vintage Tarot. Love this deck. And the fun thing about the Drive-Thru RPG boxes is they open on the side, so you have no trouble getting decks in and out. The Triple Goddess Tarot. I had a lot of really good decks in the past couple of months. I got this one. This is a deck I had never ever been drawn to until I bought Jamie Elford's book, Tarot for an Inspired Life. I can't remember exactly the name of it, and discovered that she created this deck. Now, she didn't do the artwork, but she came up with the concepts and communicated with an artist in, I believe in Italy, because this is a Lo Scarabeo deck. And together they worked out what the cards were going to look like. And it reads so well. Even though the artwork is not my favorite style of art, the images clearly convey the message that Jamie intended for this Triple Goddess. The Little White Book is not bad. I mean, it is a Lo Scarabeo Little White Book. We stopped the English at page 21? Looks like page 21, 22. And I really like this deck. The cardstock is better than some of the more recent Lo Scarabeo decks that I've gotten, like the TV series tarot and the John Bauer tarot, where the cardstock just really didn't feel like it was finished properly. So this has really good cardstock that shuffles really well, but at the same time it uses it doesn't have the multiple languages on the decks. So it just puts numbers and symbols on the deck. But yeah, this one reads really, really well. So if you've been considering it, you're on the fence about it, it is mostly female because it is the Triple Goddess. Because, you know, you've got Mother, Maiden, and Crone energies throughout the different suits and through the major arcana. It's just a great deck and I love it a lot. I pulled out my Bad Bitches Tarot again this month. And as much as I love the images in this tarot deck, this deck doesn't have quite enough in it for me. I am not big on fashion. For somebody who's really into fashion and that sort of thing, this might work well because you'd understand the language of fashion, but I don't, and it's a little bit too minimalistic for me to get really solid readings out of. As much as I really, God, I love the backs. I mean, I love the backs. And it's edged in rose gold. I mean, it's a beautiful deck. But I'm afraid that I really can't read with this one. I have so many other decks that I can really read with that I don't know that I'm willing to put in the work that's required to make this one work for me. I worked with the Herb Crafters Tarot this month. This is another deck that did not work for me. This is the book. It's a nice sized book. And it's got good explanations of what the cards mean. It doesn't really do anything to expand my knowledge of herbs. And the court cards the names on the court cards are so confusing. They're so out of my sphere of knowledge that when court cards came up, I had no idea what court card it even was. I knew what suit, but I did not know what rank within the suit it was. And I had to rely more on the guidebook. And if I was going to have to rely that much on the guidebook, I wanted to at least get some more herbal knowledge out of it. So this would be a great deck for somebody who already works with herbs. So here's another court card. Let's read this one. I want to read about this one. 3 of Fire, which is the 3 of Wands, would be calendula, marigold. Isn't that marigold? The book is organized by number rather than by suit. So you have a little something here about what the threes mean. But 3 of Fire, calendula. Take joy in prolific, passionate play. Delight in your own unique expression. Creative inspiration will last longer than one season. Petals are scattered about a messy work table. So here, it's a description of the card. Baskets are brimming with yellow, red, and orange calendula. Mortars and pestles are smudged from crushed plants. A glass jar with freshly picked flowers is flipped open in front of a bottle of olive oil. Incense burns and the summer sun shines through the window. So we're getting a description of what's on the card, which I sometimes really appreciate because I miss things. Playful creativity is infectious. Calendula grows easily and readily self-sows. Once you plant it, you'll have it in your garden for years. All varieties have healing properties and create an abundance of medicine. These are exciting times. Explore new art forms. Take decisive action. Allow your ideas to find wildly original expressions, like the many colors of calendula. Calendula enjoys a long and fruitful growing season. Remain enthusiastically committed to your goals. Step into leadership with confidence. And then it has some crafting ideas to do with the calendula. So you can see it doesn't really tell you much about the calendula itself. It gives you an idea about why they picked that, maybe why they picked that particular plant or herb to go with that particular tarot card. I did one of my weekly spreads and had the cards sitting out here on the table where I could see them all week. And usually that's very helpful because it reinforces the message from that card pull. But I was just looking at pretty pictures there. It just didn't work for me. It just didn't work for me. So there you go. The mature crepe myrtle trees in my neighborhood are shedding their bark, and I picked up a little bit of crepe myrtle bark. And you can see there's even a bloom stuck in there, a dried up bloom. The Urban Tarot. Now, I really liked this one when I first picked it up, and I like working with it intuitively. The more I look at esoteric tarot decks, everything that's based on the Rider-Waite-Smith has some level of esoteric tarot to it, because the Rider-Waite-Smith was based on esoteric tarot. But that being said, a lot of the newer decks, even though they're based on Rider-Waite-Smith, they don't incorporate any esoteric. And I'm discovering that esoteric decks are not for me. I sold my Tabula Mundi. It's just more than I want. Now you can see I have trimmed this deck. I took the titles, the keywords off, because I did not want to work with the Thoth keywords. And unlike the actual Thoth deck, the art in this one is so much more expressive and has so much more to say that not only do I not want the keywords on there because I find them divisive, but I don't need the keywords. And here's the card that made me buy the deck. It's so pretty. Now, because I just took one title off, the backs are a little wonky. That's what it looks like. It doesn't really bother me, and it is different between the minors and the majors because I took the top off the majors and the bottom off the minors. My phone's ringing. Yes, I still have a landline. It's so that my mother can hear me when I talk to her. I'll call her back in 10 minutes. So you can see I took the top off the majors and the bottom off the minors, which makes the backs not exactly the same, but that really doesn't bother me. And I'm going to, I really loved it when I first pulled it out, and then I started questioning the use of a deck that was based on the Thoth tarot. I don't know. Jury's out on this one. This is a wonderful mass-produced copy. So, yeah, the death card kind of freaks me out a little bit. The facelessness of the doctor. I did hate losing the keywords on the court cards because I thought that the keywords on the court cards were really fabulous. They were definitely an archetype that made sense. But at the same time, you know, this person, this is the Queen of Wands. She's obviously involved in the legal system. She might be an advocate or something like that. I don't remember. But let's see if it's in here. So you can see, even though I lost it, the title, her archetype off the card, it is still in the guidebook. So I still have it if I want to refer to it. So I like this deck. But at the same time, I don't like the deck. I don't know. I'll use it again and figure it out. It has kind of a weird inky smell. Like another deck that I got this month. Tarot of the Golden Wheel has a inky smell to it too. Now this deck, I love this deck. This is my art style that I like most of all. The people don't look funky. They look like people, as opposed to say like Will Worthington's art where the people look a little funny. The colors are beautiful. It claims to be based on sort of a Slavic fairy tale type of look, although it doesn't refer to any one specific fairy tale. It's really beautiful. The only sort of minor gripe I have with it is that the pentacles are wheels. And I think of like the pentacles is, of all the suits, it would be the slowest moving suit. But when you make it wheels, it tends to have a more of a movement connotation than I generally give to the coins or the pentacles. But this deck is, this is beautiful deck. This one is a little taller than standard tarot size, which makes it a little bit more difficult to shuffle, but it overhand shuffles really nicely. Chopping up the Urban Tarot did make it easier to handle because those cards are really pretty big. So yes, love Tarot of the Golden Wheel. I used both the Paulina and the Joie de Vivre Tarot this month. I had the Paulina and I pulled it out when I saw a few people using it to see, you know, let me pull this back out and use it again. And that's when I discovered that this is not my favorite. I do find it too busy and too muddy. I didn't realize that until I started using it again, that it's very muddy. It's pretty, but it's, the details get lost. And I'm just basically reading the card titles. I'm not looking at the pictures because I don't see anything other than a mash of swirls and colors. Except maybe this one. Love the sun. So when I discovered that the Paulina didn't really work for me, I went on Amazon and got the Joie de Vivre. I like this one way better. It's cleaner, it's not as busy, it's not as muddy, and it's still got Paulina's wonderful artwork. Plus all the people, all the characters in the cards, they all have names in the little white book and stories. I love that. So I really like the Joie de Vivre. That's funny. The Weird Cat Tarot. I like this deck. It's adorable. It's an indie deck. I got it off of Etsy. It has one of these magnetic boxes. Hot pink edges. And I did a walkthrough. Yeah, I posted that. I did. I posted that walkthrough. It was fun to read with. It wasn't my favorite deck to read with. It doesn't give me as much as some other decks that I have do. But I really enjoyed it and it really made me smile. Which sometimes you just want a fun little deck that makes you smile. And it's the only cat deck I have. So, yep, Weird Cat Tarot. I like this one. It shuffles really well, too. I finally started working with my Norse Tarot in July, I think. A little disappointed in the book. I was hoping for a little bit more about Norse mythology. The Major Arcana does tell the story of some of the Norse gods and some of their legends. And it helps to have that little bit of story in there, but you don't really need it because it reads Rider-Waite-Smith. So if you don't know the story of the god, the lovers, that's, I think I can't even remember, Freya and Odin, I believe. That's who that is. But if you don't know that, it makes no difference because it means the Rider-Waite-Smith meaning. And the miners are just straight Rider-Waite. There is no particular story associated with them. But I did like it. I do like it. I like the artwork. And I like the card stock. The cards feel really good to shuffle. It's a little bit wider than a standard tarot size deck. And I do have a few more. Well, not a few more. I have one or two more. I can't remember. That's pathetic. I have other decks that I want to work with this deck. So, yeah, I'm going to keep it. You have Odin as a hangman. So, Temperance, this doesn't look like a traditional Temperance card. He did give the story behind it, which I don't remember right now, but it meant the same thing. It means balancing and moderation, and the same thing that a temperance card means in any deck. And the last tarot deck, I think this is the last tarot deck. Yeah. The last tarot deck is the Naked Heart. This is the most recent edition. I can't remember which number. I was really surprised with how much I like this deck. The animals, the minimalistic style, but this one I can work with. This one gave me really good, clear readings. And when I set it in my holder and looked at the cards over the course of the week, it spoke to me. I like the use of color. My only small gripe with this deck is the court cards again. Because they've been renamed, if you pull a court card in a spread, you may or may not be able to tell. I can tell the difference between the pages and the knights, and then the queens and kings are the ones that I tend to get mashed up. See, this is the movement of cups. I believe that's the Knight of Cups. Innocence of Swords, that's the page. And the animal goes through, see, here's the Innocence of Cups and the movement of cups. So page, knight, but the king and the queen are about the same age animals, so it's hard to tell which one is which if you just have one or the other of them in a spread and they're not sitting next to each other. So that's my only thing with the Naked Heart. The cardstock is yummy. It shuffles really well. And yeah, I like it. I think it's really cool. It works. It works for me. On to Oracle decks. I pulled out my Earth Magic Oracle by Stephen Farmer, an oldie but a goodie. This is a really nice deck, and the messages in the book are really nice. I wouldn't say it's, my favorite Oracle deck by any stretch of the imagination, but it's a nice, well-balanced, really shiny Oracle deck. And I enjoyed using it. That's the key. I want to look forward to using something. When I go to pull my cards every day, I want to be, yeah, I get to pull cards out of that deck, yay. Not, I get to pull cards out of that deck again. And this one was, yeah, get to pull cards. I pulled out The Answer is Simple Oracle deck again. This is another really shiny deck, but I really like this deck. It is wonderfully balanced and eminently practical. And there are times when I just need very practical. It's not about my spirit and the ultimate goal of my life. It's about getting through the day. And this is a deck that helps you get through the day. Not my favorite art, but really fabulous messages and a really great book. Really like this one. The saltwater reading cards. These did disappoint me a little bit. Not the artwork. I absolutely love this artwork. But the messages in this one, when you compare it to the Dreamtime reading cards, are just not as good. And the Dreamtime reading cards, that's probably in one of my top 10 Oracle cards So it would be hard to top them. But these are really pretty. I love the colors. I love the summer watery colors. Just beautiful. Manifesting Your Greatness. I love this deck. Bright blue edging. These are the backs. Nice matte cardstock. Doesn't shuffle really well. Not riffle shuffle. You can overhand shuffle it fine, but it doesn't riffle shuffle very well, and I'm not quite sure why. But I love the artwork. And the messages are just really great. And isn't that what you want from an oracle deck? Good messages, lovely artwork. Now, this is the one card that I really need to pull out of the deck because of my financial situation and my job situation. Giving me advice to find multiple streams of income is not, it's not really practical advice for me, but it might be for someone else, particularly if you were building your own business or something like that. And this was a bit of a pricey deck, but I had a gift card to Amazon. And when I got the gift card to Amazon, I thought, what would I like to have? And this deck popped immediately to mind. Let's get that deck that's a little too expensive. So yeah, I really, really enjoyed Manifesting Your Greatness. Really enjoyed that deck. And the last oracle deck I worked with this month, the one that really surprised me more than any deck that I have, I think, ever bought. I bought this thinking, ew, I don't particularly like that artwork. Why am I buying this? And I love it. Queen of the Moon Oracle. This artwork is stunning. And the messages in the book are so amazing that this is probably in my top 5 oracle decks. I love it. I don't want to stop using it. I just want to keep using it and keep using it because it gives me such amazing messages. Let's see what we got here. So yeah, it really surprised me, Queen of the Moon. Let's just open it up to one. Let's see. Self-Love, number 6. That is Waxing Crescent 4. And there's a card for every single night of the moon. So let's have a listen to what Miss Stacy DeMarco says about this card. Self-love. Radical self-love is necessary. Empowerment starts from the inside out. Do not compare yourself to others. Start your change with focus and love of self. Every day I bring radical self-love to body, mind, and spirit. Sometimes we feel we are not enough. Sometimes we're even told we are not enough by our own voice, the voices of others and our culture. Not smart enough, not pretty enough, not powerful enough, not talented enough, not good enough at what we choose to do, not ambitious enough, not experienced enough, not curvy enough, not thin enough, not glamorous enough, not porn star enough, not enough of a lady. And as a result, all of this makes us not love ourselves enough. Then there's the opposite, that we are too something, too tall, too short, too fat, too thin, too wrinkly, too pimply, too old, too young, too quiet or too mouthy, too noticeable, too opinionated. Too much trouble, too much full stop. Is it any wonder that many of us feel such self-loathing or dissatisfaction with self? Please just stop. Put your blinkers on. Breathe. Be with yourself. Do ritual. Speak to the goddess or whatever energy floats your boat. Ask for help. Yes, indeed, listen to any or all of the crazy misdemeanors that your mind may throw at you, but then hug these untruths like a crying puppy and soothe the reasons they are there. Know that you're doing the best you can right now, and that you are not your past, and you can soothe yourself, and most importantly, you can move on. Know that this comparison craziness is just a diversion from knowing yourself really well and discovering amazing, delicious aspects of yourself that are entirely satisfying. Focus on you, not others, and discover where you really might like change, if anywhere or anything, for your own personal benefit, not for some outward measure of enoughness. True power and happiness comes from the inside out, like an unfurling spiral. Woe is the person who relies on the opinions of others to gain happiness and self-measure. Choose radical self-love. Choose you. Companion, stone, or metal. Rose quartz. I just can't say enough about this deck. I absolutely love it. Okay, those are all the decks that I used in June and July. Whew, that's a lot of decks. Thanks everybody so much for watching, and to serenade you out, I have a little clip when I was in Chattanooga in June for work. The hotel where I was staying, this young lady was playing the piano on Wednesday night in the hotel lobby, and I sat and listened to her play for an hour. And I know she was quite young. Her parents were there, you know, kind of watching over her and everything. She's really, really talented. I have no idea who she is, but I loved her. She sang and played the piano, and it was beautiful. So here's a little serenade to bid you adieu. And I said, surprise, never saw